philosophy. I want to take a look at some what I figure are important leadership qualities first of all. And for me, my leadership qualities are the fact that as a leader you must plan, that you must have persistence. I think consistency is a very important trait as well. That's certainly what's brought us to where we are now. You have to take responsibility. You must, even when you don't feel like it, be enthusiastic. You've got to give it your total commitment. You must create activity. You've got to be selfless. We've got some serious goals right now in the business, but if I'm selfish, I can achieve those goals by possibly risking people's business, and we're building this business for security as well. You've got to be careful. People skills are so important, and sometimes the most important people skill is really just to ignore it when it hurts most, just to let it roll over. It's not a problem. Leaders have to create momentum, and they have to have belief. And to be frank, I think one of the most important qualities is that of humility. If you enjoy and revel in the praise and the glory, I think I personally find it a little uncomfortable. It's good to be humble. Let's take a look at what leaders do or what leaders know. Leaders need to understand what the business is really all about. What leaders do is create activity, and leaders expect to fail. The only way that you can be successful is by failing as massively as you possibly can. You need, however, to work to some kind of a plan. You have to have a plan to work to. How detailed it is depends on how well you like to plan on paper. Suffice it to say, I don't. I just keep most of it up here. You must read, you must listen to tapes. I'm not a great reader, but I'll throw a tape in the car, in the cassette, and I'll listen to that a lot. That suits me. Leaders will also accept that at the end of the day the business is about numbers. As I said before, the more numbers you go through, the more successful you're going to be. Just really funny, isn't it, that I always relate building in this business in terms of your organisation. I relate it to catalogues. It's an almost exact parallel. You put 100 catalogues through 100 doors. On average, 10 people will collect an order if you're not on customer, or will give you an order if you're not on customer base, and no one gets offended. If you talk to 100 people and 90 of them say no, you focus on the 90 that say no. It's really strange, isn't it? But what a parallel. Leaders also work upline and downline as well. Okay, you've got to work in your business as an organisation. You also have to know that you're going to have to work hard in the beginning in order to lay foundations for your success in the future. Work very hard. As I said, leaders need to work to a plan, and that plan's got to include identifying leaders within your organisation. I'm very guilty, especially early on, as I've no doubt we all are, of trying to get more milk out of the cow. And if the cow doesn't want to give you any more milk, the simple answer, short answer to it is just go and get some more cows. That's how you get more milk. I've been guilty of working with cows that totally refuse to give much in the way of milk, and what you find is that you spend all that time is wasted. Okay. I think when we bring people in, we want obviously the success for them much more than they want it for themselves often, and it's those people that we tend to work with sometimes incorrectly. it's you just can't walk away. But what you've got to do is to leave those people on the back burner. But don't do what someone in my organisation did just recently. And we had a long chat on the phone. What do I need to do? Okay. So he went to all the people in his downline and told them all that I'd said that he's got to leave them alone and get on with something else, and that was my advice. Some people don't really see the full picture all the time, do they? So he burned my bridge and his. Great. Okay. Leaders are going to have to use all the tools. You need to use all the tools. Okay. It's no good just focusing on one aspect to build your business. A leader's got to facilitate the group as well. You've got to be there. You've got to be, organising, planning, working with all the time. Make sure that your group get what they need to drive their business forward in any shape or form. And as I said before, leaders don't take it personally. I mean, in this particular instance, I could have got back on the phone and said, what the hell do you think you're doing? I could have ranted and raved and gone berserk. But at the end of the day, it's a George Washington syndrome, isn't it? When that guy rebuked one of his generals and he offered him outside for a pistol fight, George really realised that that was a bad idea. He never told anyone off again. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the same, Just take it, roll with it, get on with it. Otherwise it wastes so much more time. Imagine how much work you could get done instead of worrying about issues that you think are personal and affect you personally. Hey? Just get on with the job. In previous years in this business, I spent no end of time talking with people in my downline organisation, trying to save them. Gold distributorships, trying to save it. At the end of the day, they're gone. Okay. If they're that focused on issues and problems, let them focus on issues and problems and go and find someone else that isn't. Okay. Leaders also know that the system works if you work the system. I've got people I found out again just this week that are that are redesigning their own system. They haven't done anything in the business, but they know best. It's like £60 million of turnover. We all do generally the same thing, and they're trying to do it their way. Why would they do that? I don't know. There's a system that works. Work the system. You have to learn as a teacher. It's no good being here today and being a pupil. You have to come here and take the information away with you today, and you have to disseminate it to your organisation as a teacher, not a pupil. Okay? I said before as well that a leader knows that short-term sacrifice is essential for long-term gain. See, in the first 3 years of my business, sleep was optional. That still is, actually. It doesn't matter. A few 2 o'clock in the mornings this week's not a problem, is it? And you've got to accept that you're going to have to really put everything else aside and drive your business forward on a very, very persistent basis. The successful people are the ones that just don't let up. Too many people promise long-term activity and do it short-term. I can ask you a question. What do the most successful have in the business that you do not? Can anyone tell me? What do the most successful in Clean Easy right now have that everyone in this room does not? Maybe the only one thing. Anything? That's absolutely nothing is the answer to the question. Time aside, I guess. What you've got to understand is that everyone can be a leader. You just have to make your mind up that you're going to be a leader. And, 2 arms, 2 legs. Most of us got brains. Nearly all of them here today. And really there's no difference. You just have to make that decision. And you have to become the leader that you're looking for. It's really that simple. So you have nothing. Let me read you I've got a few bits and pieces to read you today that I quite like. Success recipe. The author Richard Poe says, sponsoring is an art, not a science. 50 years of trial and error in network marketing has yielded one rock bottom principle from which no one should deviate. You must work your sponsor's system, provided they're successful. You must work your sponsor's system, whatever it is. I've covered that already, haven't I? And Herb Oliver says, Work your sponsored system only if the system has proven itself. If not, you must go and find someone who is making the kind of money that you want to make. You'll be glad you put in this extra effort. That's our opportunity here today. Okay? But you guys have already got a system that's got you here, so I think on. Now, Mark Yarnell says that after you get your income up to 50,000 a year, then you can do what you want, and that's fair. Top networker Dale Maloney, whoever that is. If you want to know how to do something, learn from someone who's already accomplished it successfully. And Tony Robbins says, find yourself a mentor and do exactly as he or she does, and don't change a thing until you are successful. And I've got one more short quote after that to share. Okay, planning. The important thing for you to do is to plan from your finish line back to the start. I hope that everyone that's here today is here because they planned last year's business. They knew where they wanted to be. Okay, that's what should happen, and you should already have planned where you're going to be by the end of the year in order to get to Cairns. I mean, the qualification structure now is superb. It not only gets you there, it builds your business along the way, which is what it was designed to do in the first place. Fantastic. See, we clearly stated our goals last year, and we actually didn't quite make the goal that we wanted last year, which was a basic turnover goal. We wanted to be turning over 1.4 million, and we came up just under 1.3. But if I hadn't set that goal, which was to have almost 100% increase in turnover by the end of the year in one period, then I doubt I'd have even got near it. So you have to push beyond the boundaries that you really think you can achieve. And if you fall up short, well, it doesn't matter, because you've got a huge business along the way. And it's the same with Clean Easy. George and Kim do their planning, and they know what they want for year 2001. And I tell you what, it's looking good. It's looking very good. Okay, something else for you. A few things here to read. This is called the Keys to Prosperity. The key that unlocks the door to prosperity today is the same key it was at the turn of the last century. This key, when used, opens the door to the same toolbox that's been used by previously successful people. In truth, the toolbox has many items, but the three most important are, first of all, belief, and that's belief that you can win. Now, Lou Brock, one of the greatest base stealers in Major League Baseball, said, "You can watch my lead, knowing what I'm going to do, and there's still nothing you can do to stop